One of the biggest misconceptions about high value women is that they're cold, especially when it comes to their relationships, their standards, and their boundaries. But the truth is, they're actually not. They just have really high standards and they know when a relationship has expired and how to let go of that relationship without feeling guilty. And if you're here watching this video right now, that means there is somebody in your life right now that you're either thinking of cutting or somebody that you've already cut out and you're trying to understand how to deal with this guilt. Maybe they betrayed your trust, maybe they were a bad influence, or maybe every time you just hung out with them, you just felt so emotionally exhausted, or maybe nothing huge even happened, but you just realized that this relationship is not healthy anymore and you need to let it go. But here's the problem. You're not struggling with letting the relationship go. You're struggling with the guilt of letting it go. And today I'm going to show you exactly how high value women deal with letting people go and how they do it in a proper way with respect, with setting boundaries, and most importantly, how to find peace afterwards. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Nifty, and here we talk all about mindset, manifestation, and personal development. So if you're new here, subscribe to my channel, and now let's get into the video. Part 1, the guilt before the decision. Okay, this is the moment when you know that you need to make a decision about cutting this person off, but you are sitting with the decision. Okay, you're sitting with the guilt. And this is very normal for humans because end of the day, we want to be liked by other people. We don't want to hurt the people around us. We don't want to end up looking mean. And sometimes cutting people off also makes us look like the villain, which we don't want. We don't want confrontation or problems in our life because women don't struggle with leaving. Women struggle with giving themselves the permission to leave. For me, I've seen this happen multiple times in my life. There have been times where I had to hold on to a friendship. I knew that I had to let that person go, but because I was so attached to them, and when I was going through that phase, it was like I knew that the relationship was unhealthy and I needed to end it, but I was just consumed by this guilt, like, how am I going to let her go? And honestly, it took me a long time to get to the place where I could finally detach from her. It took me like 3 months from the time I realized that I need to let this person go to creating distance little by little until I could finally cut the cord. And I've also been on the other end of where I had a friend who did something one time, they crossed the line, which was very disrespectful, which felt like betrayal and hurt to me. And I just knew that I couldn't stay friends with somebody who did something like that to me, and I had to cut them off instantly. That was it, like that one incident, and I had to completely remove that person from my life. So regardless of how your relationship is progressing, some relationships die slowly, some die instantly. Regardless, if the relationship is coming to an end, you need to know how you are going to end it. Part number 2, when it's finally time to leave. Here's one of the biggest mistakes that people make is when they cut somebody off, we feel like we need to make it dramatic. We don't. So before we go into how you're actually going to cut someone off, let's talk about what a high value woman would not do. A high value woman does not ghost people. Like, what are we, 16? Like, learn to communicate. If you don't like someone, if you don't want to hang out with someone, let them know. What is ghosting? Announcing departure. If you've made the decision to leave, leave. Don't sit there telling them, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to leave. I don't know what to do. Stop giving them chances to fix themselves if you've already made the decision that you're going to leave. You don't need to announce what you're going to do. Just do it. Seeking revenge. A high value woman knows that this is not a competition and you do not need to get back at anyone. You have let this relationship go. Detach. That means you're not thinking about them. You're not planning and plotting against them. Creating drama. I know the bad bitch world today has glorified the idea of causing drama, but babe, a high value woman does not have the need to cause drama, okay? Because she knows her worth, she knows what she is, she doesn't need to go around proving it to people how they hurt you and how they've made such a big mistake. Trying to win the breakup. Because even after the breakup, doing things to try to get back at them, treating this like a competition, and all these low vibrational activities, these all are things that we don't want to be doing, okay? Instead, this is how you're going to leave the relationship. First, you're going to communicate. You're going to tell them exactly how their actions have made you feel and how you've come to this conclusion of making this decision of walking away. You are not going to over explain. You're just going to tell them what they did, what hurt you, why you're leaving, and this is the decision. The leaving, that is the decision. You're just telling them about a decision that you've already made. You stay respectful. Even though things have ended, even though you're walking away, you do not have to treat this like a drama. Respect all the past history that you have with this person and walk away with respect, walk away with grace. You need to accept the fact that they might disagree with what you have to say. They might come at you, they might attack. All these things that we talked about that a high value woman does not do, they might use those things at you. But that does not mean that you're going to fall back to their level. You're going to stay the high value woman you are, and you're going to do the thing that you came here to do, that is leave. Because babe, your boundary does not need a PowerPoint presentation, okay? This is exactly what I did when I had a confrontation with one of my friends. If you've seen my last video, you will see I had a confrontation with one of my roommates, which ended badly with me completely cutting that person off. So to keep the story short and give you a quick recap, I had a fallout with this one friend, and this person who I thought was my friend, in order to get back at me, went into the group chat and trying to call me out and humiliate me. And when this happened, in that moment, I had a choice. I sat there with the decision and I asked myself, okay, this person, they did this to me. Like, they posted it on the group chat, whatever it is that they did. Would I be friends with this person even if we talked this out, even if we cleared this misunderstanding? Would I want to be friends with somebody like this? And the answer came to me, no. I did not want to have somebody like this in my life who would do something to such an extent to try and hurt me. And once I made that decision that, okay, this girl, I'm going to cut her off, I'm not going to keep her around anymore, I chose to react like a high value woman. First, I went on the group chat where she wrote the big paragraph talking about how she has so many issues with me, and I took accountability. I apologized in the group chat. I let everyone know that I'm taking accountability and this will not happen, and I will keep that in mind. The next thing I did was I went to her private chat and I sent her a message saying, I understand that she was upset about what happened between us, but what she did on the group chat was not something that had to be done. I told her very clearly that she crossed the line. This was something that could have been resolved between me and her, but because of what she did, that would be the end of our friendship. And I told her I didn't want us to hang out anymore and we would not be friends anymore. And that was it. That was done. No revenge, no drama, nothing. And guess what? That person did come at me. These weapons that we talked about that high value women don't do against me to try and lower me to their level. They tried to confront me. They tried to verbally abuse me and all these things they tried to do, but I did not give them the reaction because I was very clear on where I was standing. I knew that there was no point of me having a confrontation with this person because I knew that there was no means to the end. I did not have anything to win here. I did not value this relationship. I was willing to let it go. So there was literally no need for me to have a confrontation because there was nothing to fix. I had already let it go. Part number 3, but you still feel guilty. So I did all the things that I had to do. I understood the situation. I made the decision that I had to leave and I left. And I did it the right way. But at the end of the day, I was still feeling guilty. And this is not your fault because this is how we are wired neurologically. You feel this guilt not because you're wrong, but because psychologically your nervous system believes that if the people around you are happy and they treat you well, that means that you are safe. But what you need to understand is that when you're drawing that boundary, you are drawing a line, you're drawing a friction. There is tension there, okay? And that is uncomfortable. That is uncomfortable for you. That is uncomfortable for the other person. And that is normal. And that is the biggest reason why people don't draw boundaries, because boundaries are uncomfortable. She did something that crossed a line, and I knew that I was not going to let her back into my life. And I drew a boundary. I made that tension line so strong. And the thing is, we live in the same house. So every time we see each other, we are in each other's presence, I feel that tension, which I'm sure she feels it as well. And that is a cost you have to pay for having a boundary. And that is a big reason why so many people do not have boundaries. But as a high value woman, you need to know that that boundary is there for a reason. That is protecting you because you are putting yourself first. You are telling the universe that, you know what? I am not going to allow people with this low behavior and low vibration into my life. I am protecting my peace. I am putting myself first. And that is what that boundary represents. And the biggest part is that the real healing did not happen when I cut her off. It happened afterwards. Part number 4, rewriting your subconscious story. This is probably the most important part of the video. So what happened after all this was done is, in my mind, I started villainizing this person, because now every time I thought of this person, I only had one memory that came up, the memory of the hurt, the hate, the betrayal. And every time I thought about this person, I was replaying that day. I was replaying the conversation. I was replaying the same hurt. And how our brain functions is, every time you replay a memory, an emotion from the past, your brain is going to slightly, very slightly modify it to feel a little more of the emotion that you're already feeling. So every time I was thinking about that emotion, I felt a little more hate. I felt a little more anger. I felt a little more resentment. And then one day it hit me that, wait a second, she was the one who hurt me, but because I keep replaying these thoughts again and again in my head, I am the one who's carrying all this weight. I'm the one who's carrying all this heaviness, this pain, this hurt. Not her, me. And so I had to make the decision that, okay, now that I've let go of her from the external, I needed to fix something on the internal. I needed to fix me. Because end of the day, it wasn't her that hurt me. It was the emotion of hurt was something that was already present inside me. And she was just somebody who showed me that, okay, Nifty, you feel hurt, you feel betrayed, you feel abandoned. This is something that you're used to feeling. And she just showed me my own pattern, because end of the day, everyone is a reflection of you. And then I started asking myself these questions like, okay, what is the story that I keep telling myself about her, about that night, about that situation, about myself? And then I realized that, okay, I'm just feeling all this hurt and betrayal. When was the last time in my past when I felt this? And I realized that this was not the first time this has happened. This is a pattern. And I realized that this is not about blaming them and villainizing them, but about learning to forgive myself and letting it go. And this is not because of them or because they deserve it, but this is for me, for my peace. If you're also struggling with letting someone go, just do this with me and you're going to feel so much better. Just put your hand on your heart, and I started telling myself, I forgive you for hurting me. I forgive myself for the stories that I created about you. And I release this need to punish myself and you. I'm willing to see things with a fresh eyes. I'm willing to set both of us free. And I just started telling this to myself again and again, regularly. And it wasn't instant, but eventually something happened. Eventually I found peace. And even though we were living in the same space, she did not bother me anymore. It did not trigger me anymore to see her, because in my mind I was like, okay, this is just a stranger. This is just a soul that's been sent on earth. This soul is here to teach me a lesson, to make me better. That is it. And I just walk around feeling like I am in my little bubble. I'm in my happy bubble full of love and light, and she just cannot get to it. And this is the karma that she has to live with. She will never get access to my happy bubble. And that's when something incredible happened. I found peace. And honestly, I feel like this is the last of it. Like, making this video about her is the last of it. And I feel like I can finally let it go and like completely detach. And that is what being a high value woman is all about. It's not about hating people. It's about knowing who to accept in your life, knowing when to leave, because they love themselves enough to choose what kind of people that they accept in their life. And sometimes the most hardest thing, but also the most loving thing that you can do for yourself is not holding on, but letting go. Not because you're giving up on them, but because you are choosing yourself. And I hope this video gave you inspiration to set that boundary. And let me know in the comments, what is one boundary that you are setting today right after watching this video? Make that decision, go do it. If you liked watching this video, subscribe to my channel. I do come out with a new video every week. And if you're ready to do this work on a deeper level, then I'm also taking one-on-one coaching where we work through identifying your emotional patterns and changing those patterns so you can feel like a new person and attract new and better things into your life. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.